What is James Harden historically his biggest knock, his biggest criticism?
This is not the same Cleveland Cavaliers team you remember. The moment James Harden showed up in a white and gold jersey, the Cavs stopped being a fun young team and started looking like a franchise that wants to win right now. They had an eventful trade deadline, trading a part of their core in Darius Garland for an 11-time All-Star who had spent years both running offenses and providing it. That decision changes everything about how we talk about this team. It changes their timeline, their identity, and their ceiling. When you trade for James Harden at this point in his career, you're making a short-term bet. You're bringing in someone who can run the offense in tight moments, create shots when everything bogs down, and handle the ball when the game slows to a crawl in the fourth quarter. So in this video, we're going to ask 3 simple questions. Did the Cavaliers actually get better right now by making this trade? How does Harden's arrival reshape Donovan Mitchell's role on both ends of the floor? And with this new backcourt and this front court, how far can this version of the Cavs realistically go? To start, let's talk about what this trade actually was. The Cavaliers received James Harden. The Clippers received Darius Garland, a 2026 second-round pick, and the necessary salary pieces to make the deal work under the cap. On paper, it was questionable. Why were the Cavs making a trade that diminished their young core? Garland was a central piece of Cleveland's post-LeBron build. He was an all-star level guard, a primary ball handler, and one of the main reasons the offense functioned when things were going well. This season in Cleveland, he averaged about 14 points and 6.5 assists, with his efficiency dipping as he dealt with injuries and tried to find a rhythm. Even with the drop-off, the impact of Garland was still significant.
Darius Garland steps back and buries a 3 over Scotty Barnes.
A 25-year-old creator who could space the floor, run pick and roll, and fit the original timeline of Evan Mobley and the rest of the core. Meanwhile, Harden represents a different kind of bet. With the Clippers this season, he was still producing like a high-end offensive engine, putting up 25 points and 8 assists per game prior to being traded. He also took on the role of running a lot of their half-court possessions. Cleveland chose that profile over the long-term comfort of waiting on Garland's growth and health. For the Clippers, the logic is straightforward. They gain a younger lead guard to build around in the future and reset their backcourt timeline. For the Cavs, the logic is direct as well. Pair an established offensive organizer with Donovan Mitchell and see how high that raises the ceiling. Harden has also talked about wanting to be in a place where he feels he can truly compete, and his choice to embrace Cleveland helps present the Cavs as a real competitive destination rather than a stepping stone. Trades are one thing on paper. The real question is what James Harden actually looks like on the court with his newfound team. In his Cavaliers debut against the Sacramento Kings, Harden finished with 23 points and 8 assists in a 132-126 Cleveland win. He shot 7 for 13 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and 4 for 4 at the line, which is exactly the kind of efficient scoring and playmaking profile the Cavs hoped they were getting. Donovan Mitchell led the team with 35 points, and Jarrett Allen added 29 points and 10 rebounds, which shows how Harden slid into the existing core without taking the ball out of their hands. The most important part of that debut came in the fourth quarter. Cleveland trailed 121-116 with under 4 minutes left. From that point, Harden took control of the game. He hit threes on back-to-back possessions, then kept getting to the line and knocking down his free throws, scoring 15 of his 23 points in the final period. Mitchell and Harden combined to score Cleveland's final 16 points as the Cavs closed the night on an 18-5 run. That stretch is the clearest early picture of his impact. In a tight game, in his very first night with the team, the ball found Harden and he delivered. The early sample in Cleveland is still small, but it already includes efficient shooting, high-level playmaking, and immediate trust from the coaching staff to let him steer the offense when the game is on the line. Looking at the big picture, Harden's arrival is already backing up the Cavs' decision at the deadline, and the early returns point toward this being the right move. As of mid-February, the Cavaliers sit at 34-21. They are fourth in the Eastern Conference, which puts them firmly in the mix with the top teams in the conference. The record matters because it shows that all of these changes are happening inside a season where winning is already a regular expectation, not a surprise. Within that context, the roles on this team are clearer than they have been in a while. Donovan Mitchell is still the primary scorer and emotional driver of the group, leading the team at 29 points per game and 5.9 assists. James Harden is the main organizer. He runs a lot of the half-court actions, initiates sets, and handles a big share of the decision-making in crunch time. Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen stabilize everything near the rim. Mobley leads the team in rebounds at 8.8 per game and adds 2 blocks, while Allen brings size, physicality, and consistent interior defense. The Harden trade also cleaned up the hierarchy. There is no longer a Mitchell-Garland overlap in responsibilities. In tight moments, Harden acts as the pilot of the offense, and Mitchell plays the role of the primary attacker and finisher. When you watch them now, the structure of each possession feels more deliberate. Sets flow from Harden's reads, shots come from predictable actions, and late-game offense looks more organized than in previous years.
Ellis off to Mitchell. Mitchell with a pump fake. Back to Harden!
Offensively, Harden makes everything simpler. The Cavs can lean on basic actions that work over and over again. High pick and rolls, drive and kick, and two-man games with a clear decision-maker at the top. Instead of wondering who should initiate late, the ball usually starts in Harden's hands, and everyone else plays off the advantages he creates. Mitchell's season sets the stage for why this matters. He's been carrying a huge offensive load all year, and Harden takes some of that burden away. Mitchell can still get to his 30 a night, but he does it more often as a finisher, attacking tilted defenses, catching in motion, or spacing for catch-and-shoot threes instead of grinding from the top of the floor every possession. A typical possession now might start with a Harden-Jarrett Allen pick-and-roll. Harden comes off the screen, the big steps up, the low man tags Allen on the roll, and that single action forces a chain reaction. Mitchell and the shooters are spaced on the wings, ready for knockouts, while Mobley lurks along the baseline or short corner as a cutter or offensive rebounder. Even if the first option is taken away, there is a built-in second and third read on almost every trip. Harden's shooting, especially his pull-up threes, changes how defenses guard those screens. Bigs can't sit back as deep, and guards can't comfortably duck under. That opens short roll opportunities for Allen, who has already seen scoring spikes next to Harden, and it produces easier catch-and-shoot looks for Cleveland's perimeter players. Possessions feel more inevitable because there is usually something open somewhere. The job is just to find it. To really understand what this new Cavaliers team is, you have to look at the games that actually test them. The early Harden sample already includes those kinds of nights. The Kings' debut was one example, but the bigger statement came in that win over Denver, where Cleveland went into a matchup with Nikola Jokic and still looked like the more complete team for long stretches. In those games, you can see how different the Cavs feel possession by possession. Harden doesn't have to score 30 for his impact to show. There are stretches where his scoring is quiet, but the offense still moves at his tempo. He slows things down when it needs control, speeds it up when there's a mismatch to attack, and keeps everyone involved. That rhythm is new for this group, and it stands out when you compare it to their late-game offense from the past few seasons. You can also see how much easier life looks for everyone around him. Jarrett Allen has already had huge nights next to Harden, including back-to-back games where he looked unstoppable as a roller and finisher. Role players are getting cleaner catch-and-shoot looks and easier cuts because defenses are tilted toward the Harden-Mitchell actions. Even in games where Harden's box score doesn't jump off the page, the spacing and timing around him look more organized. These first few games are where you start to buy into the idea that Cleveland can go deep in the playoffs. It's not just that they're winning, it's the type of teams they're beating, the composure they show late, and how natural Harden already looks as the one steering the offense in those moments. By this point in the season, the shape of the Cavaliers is obvious. Mitchell, Harden, and Mobley sit at the center of everything, and their fit together tells you what this team is aiming for. Mitchell is the main scorer. He attacks early in the clock, pressures the rim in mid-range, and gives the Cavs a go-to option when they need a bucket. Harden changes the structure around that. He gives Cleveland a consistent way to get into their sets and finish games. Mobley is the stabilizer. He guards multiple positions, protects the rim, and cleans the glass, which allows the backcourt to lean into offense without the entire system breaking on the other end. His presence is what lets Cleveland play a high-usage guard duo and still keep a strong defensive base. The open questions sit above all of this. Can this trio hold up through a full playoff run against top Eastern teams like Boston and Milwaukee? And did the front office strike the right balance by moving Darius Garland now, or did they put too much of their future into a present-day push? What feels certain is the intent. The Cavaliers are building around a group that is meant to compete immediately. How Mitchell, Harden, and Mobley function together on the floor is the clearest sign that this version of Cleveland is aiming for more than a nice regular season. They are going all in. If you've watched this new Cavs squad and have your own take on the Harden trade, let us know what you think in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns like this, consider subscribing so you don't miss the next one.